Breaking news: Nnamdi Kanu seeks appeal court intervention to actually stop terrorism trial judgment that is supposed to be held on 20th November 2025. The news says that Nnamdi Kanu has recently filed an urgent application at the Court of Appeal in Abuja seeking to stop the Federal High Court from, delivering judgment on his terrorism trial. In this video, we will cover up what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu wants from the appeal court and why he's actually taking this bold legal step. And secondly, we're going to be looking at the exact legal request, including stay of proceedings and the review of his trial. Thirdly, we'll talk about his main complaint against the lower court, including reliance on repealed laws and the dismissal of his no case submission. Fourth, we're also going to be looking into the concerns about fairness, including alleged denial of his right to actually defend himself. Fifth, we'll also go into the history and context of his no case submission and why it is central to his defense. Sixth, jurisdictional question. Then seventh, that is the last thing we're going to be talking about, the broader political and legal implication. By the end of this video, you will understand why this case is not just about one man, but about the Nigerian justice system. As I do always say, the constitutional rights and the rule of law. So sit back, subscribe, don't forget to like this video and also to share to some other audience. Why is this important? Because it involves questions about due process, the application of repealed laws, and the right of the accused to a fair trial. Now, let's get into this one after the other. What Nnamdi Kanu wants from the appeal court and why? Well, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu wants the Court of Appeal to halt the Federal High Court from delivering judgment in his terrorism trial scheduled for 20th November 2025. The Kanu's reasons for this action: he believes the trial is proceeding under procedural irregularities and invalid charges, which could lead to unlawful conviction if not well addressed. This step is actually bold because he is personally representing himself and directly challenging the court's handling of the case, rather than relying on legal representatives. Then secondly, what are the exact legal requests Kanu is actually, requesting from the appeal court? You talk about the stay of proceedings, halt all the trial activities at the Federal High Court until the appeal is resolved, suspension of the scheduled judgment, prevent the 20th November judgment from being delivered, leave to appeal, request permission to challenge the dismissal of his no case submission and other rulings, extension of time, allow additional time to file necessary appeals and motions. Now, these requests aim to ensure that the trial adhere to constitutional and procedural norms before any verdict is rendered. Thirdly, we talk about the main complaint Nnamdi Kanu has against the lower court: reliance on the repealed laws. Count 1 to 6 of charges federal government, that is the prosecutor, have against Nnamdi Kanu are laws that no longer exist, undermining the legal basis of the trial. Secondly, disobedience of the Supreme Court directive. On count 7, the lower court allegedly ignored binding instructions from the Supreme Court. Thirdly, dismissal of no case submission. The court rejected his argument that the prosecution failed to present sufficient evidence, forcing him to defend charges he considers invalid before the law. Foreclosure of defense rights. The court allegedly blocked him from presenting witnesses and mounting a defense until objections were addressed during judgment. Failure to apply statutory test. The lower court did not follow section 303 when evaluating his no case submission. So these are the legal requests Nnamdi Kanu have against the lower court. Let's talk about the concerns about fairness. Kanu asserts that he has been denied the opportunity to properly defend himself. He claims the trial court foreclosed his right by preventing witness testimony and forcing judgment without resolving key legal questions. So this raises serious questions about due process, highlighting the tension between legal procedure and individual rights in high-profile cases such as this. Talking about the history and the context of his no case submission. A no case submission allows a defendant to argue that the prosecution has not established a prima facie case. Kanu filed this after the prosecution presented evidence and witnesses. Initially accepted, it was later dismissed on 26 September 2025, ordering him to enter defense. So Kanu now refused to open his defense on 27th October, arguing that the charges were invalid, making the no case submission central to his legal strategy. 6. Jurisdictional question. This is actually the most important of them all. Kanu has challenged whether the Federal High Court has proper authority, has the jurisdiction to try him on certain counts. He questions whether the trial is being conducted under valid legal statutes, giving some rely on repealed laws. Jurisdiction is very critical because if the court lacks authority, the trial may be nullified, affecting the legitimacy of any verdict. So these are the things Kanu is actually, asking the appeal court to look into. Here are the analysis of Nnamdi Kanu's requests and their implications. When you talk about the stay of proceedings, that is suspension of judgment, what it means, Kanu is asking the appeal court to pause all trial activity at the Federal High Court and delay the scheduled 20th November judgment. This essentially freezes the trial until higher court examines the issue he actually raised. The implication of this to his trial. This is actually going to provide time to address the procedural irregularities as Kanu actually, claimed, such as the use of repealed laws, internal Supreme Court directives, preventing the risk of conviction before his legal concerns are fully considered. It's also going to signaling that Nnamdi Kanu is taking control of his legal destiny, representing himself to challenge the trial's fairness. Now, here are the things the appeal court may consider. Whether the lower court has made the procedural errors significant enough to warrant halting proceedings. If continuing the trial would prejudice Nnamdi Kanu's right to a fair trial. Thirdly, past precedents on stay of proceedings, especially in high-profile terrorism cases where public interest and national security concerns are weighed against individuals' rights. Talking about the second one, which is leave to appeal or extension of time, Kanu seeks permission to formally appeal the lower court's dismissal of his no-case submission and other rulings. He also requests extra time to file necessary appeal documents. What are the implications of this to his trial? It is actually going to give him more opportunity to challenge the key rulings, which could potentially invalidate the trial or part of it if the appeal court agrees. It could also, shift the timeline of the trial significantly, delaying the judgment for weeks or months. What the appeal court might consider is whether the requests were filed within the allowable legal time frame, the merit of the appeal, that is whether the Kanu has raised, substantial legal and constitutional questions. You talk about the courts often weigh public interest, of course, as usual, to, justify the efficiency against granting extension. Thirdly, challenge to repealed laws, as Nnamdi Kanu complained, and also the legal validity of the charges. What does this mean? It means that Nnamdi Kanu argues that some counts of the terrorism charges are based on laws that no longer exist, and the lower court relied on these invalid statutes. What are the implications of this? If accepted, certain counts could be, thrown out entirely, weakening the prosecution's case. It could also force the retrial or amendment of charges, depending on the appeal court ruling. It is also going to strengthen his position in arguing that proceedings to judgment would violate his constitutional rights. Now, here is what the appeal court may consider in this regard. Whether the lower court indeed applied repealed laws, it's also going to consider the precedent for dismissing charges based on outdated statutes. It is also going to consider the seriousness of the error and its impact on fairness and legality. Fourth, we'll talk about the alleged denial of fair defense. What does this mean? Kanu claims the lower court prevented him from presenting witnesses and blocked his ability to challenge evidence. Implication of this to Nnamdi Kanu's case is actually going to raise serious questions about due process, which could nullify any judgment rendered if the appeal court finds merit in it. It's also going to strengthen his argument for unlawful denial of his rights, which is constitutional concern. This is also going to put pressure on the court to ensure all defendants, regardless of profile, have equal access to defend themselves properly. These are the things that the appeal court might, likely consider. Whether Nnamdi Kanu's rights under the Nigerian constitution were violated, whether the lower court's procedures compromise the integrity of the trial, and lastly, the balance between the court's discretion and the defendant's rights to a fair trial. Fifth, you talk about the no-case submission challenge. What does this mean? Kanu's argument that the prosecution failed to establish enough evidence, that is a prima facie case, before forcing him to, defend himself. What are the implications of this to his trial? If appeal courts uphold this, it could lead to dismissal of the entire case or some counts. It's also going to reduce his exposure to conviction for charges that lack sufficient evidence. It's also going to highlight the procedural mistakes that could weaken the prosecution's credibility. What the appeal court might actually consider in this regard is whether the prosecution presented enough evidence to justify a defense. It's also going to actually consider the application of section 303, which mandates proper evaluation of no case submissions. Then 6, the jurisdiction questions. What does this mean? Kanu is questioning whether the Federal High Court has proper legal authority, the jurisdiction to actually try him on these charges. What are the implications of this to this trial? If jurisdiction is invalid, the trial could be nullified, requiring either reassignment or dismissal. It's also going to, set a legal precedent for other politically sensitive or high-profile trial in Nigeria. It's also going to undermine the validity of any future judgment if not resolved before 20th November. Then, what the appeal court might actually consider here, whether the trial court acted within its constitutional and statutory authority. Is also going to check the legal precedent regarding jurisdiction challenge in terrorism and national security trials. Lastly, it's also going to consider how jurisdictional errors affect procedural fairness and trial legitimacy. Now, let's talk about the broader political and legal implications. Beyond Kanu's personal defense, the request highlights issue of justice, law, and politics. Is actually going to delay the trial, giving Nnamdi Kanu time to prepare defense or pursue political strategies. If successful, it may challenge the government's handling of the separatist leader and terrorism charges involved. It's also going to influence the future trial, ensuring courts adhere strictly to repealed laws, fair trial standards, and no case submission. Politically, this case intensifies scrutiny on national security and governance in Southeast. So that is to say, Kanu's requests are strategically comprehensive. They aim to actually halt judgment, challenge legal validity, protect his right to defend himself, and of course the question of jurisdiction. If the appeal court grants even part of this request, it could actually delay the trial, weaken the prosecution, and raise fundamental questions about fairness and due process. As we wrap up today's in-depth analysis of Nnamdi Kanu's ongoing legal battle, several key points stand out. First, Kanu's bold move to appeal to the Court of Appeal highlight the serious legal and procedural questions surrounding his trial. And that wraps up our coverage of Nnamdi Kanu's appeal to stop his terrorism trial judgment. From his bold legal moves to, challenge the validity of the charges, to his concern about fairness and the right to defend himself. This case continues to raise critical legal and political questions. As the appeal court considers his request, the outcome could, have far-reaching implications, not just for Kanu, but for the Nigerian judicial system and the way high-profile cases are being conducted. So let's watch forward to see what happens next. Thank you for watching.